Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is now episode 12 and it's the day I've been putting off. I'm actually going to get into testing the boiler today, but first things first, I'm just having a play with the blower ring. Now, I've never made a blower ring before. I've installed them, I've removed them, but never made one. So I knocked this up off camera. It's just a piece of 3/16 pipe bent into a shape. I've got one end pinched off and soldered up. I've drilled 4 slightly inward facing holes in the top of it, and fingers crossed it all works out. The big downside to the smoke box superheater coil pipe thingamajiggy that is in here is it makes it awkward for your hands, and trying to get this union up onto the blower through pipe. There's a hollow stay all the way through the boiler which passages steam from the back head through the valve, through a pipe through the middle of the boiler, out at the front into a nipple which this union is trying to get fastened onto, and then hopefully when you open the valve you get a direct of steam up the chimney which aids in the drafting of the fire. Again, awkward position. Got to try and wrangle a spanner in there now to get this thing nipped up, and yeah, absolute pain in the backside. But just a little bit of procrastination waiting for Simon to come in, because yes, I am going to send it and I'm going to get this boiler tested. Now the boiler is still full of water from yesterday. All the fittings are still attached, ready to go. All I've got to do is plug in my pump and away we go. And yeah, really been putting this off. I've not enjoyed this boiler at all. Mechanically jointed copper boilers are a pain, and this is an exception, no exception to the rule. And yeah, just not been looking forward to this day. Actually brings me on at the end of the video. I don't want to get into tomorrow really, but it's really getting close to completion, this project, and ticking off a few jobs. Nice blower ring, fingers crossed that works. But it's on to the boiler test now. So I've got it all pumped up already. Now it's up 160 psi, and I've got the boiler back off again because it gives us full access to 360 degrees of this boiler to make sure we can see if there's any leaks. Now occasionally I'm having to go in and just wipe off some surface moisture, and coming in with a torch every now and again, just looking at the different joints that I've had to attack to get them all sealed up. But I'm not touching the pump, which is always a positive sign. So yeah, 160 psi, and I'm not having to add any more pressure to the boiler. It's always a good sign. I'm just going to move it around so I can get around and video the barrel seam, because that was weeping a little bit on the last test. And yeah, it's all working out well. Just going under here, getting rid of some residual moisture from me filling the boiler, and we're just inspecting where everywhere was potential leaks last time, and it's all looking good. We have got a couple of very slow weeps. We call them pin weeps, but it's taking 5 or 6 minutes for them to form a bead. And we've got it pumped up to pressure for about 20 minutes, and everywhere's looking really good. But yeah, that is a pass, and cheers Mark for standing in front of my camera. But yeah, ultimately boiler's a pass, everyone's interested, and Mark's coming round to offer me a brew. Yes please mate, thank you very much. But yeah, I'm happy. I've gotten through. That seems good. The front tube plate is all good. The dome is all good. That barrel seam there is all good. I'm happy. So with that sorted, it's time to stick it all together. So starting with sticking it together, I am applying some high temperature silicone around the smoke box ring, because yeah, I'm getting this smoke box glued on. So yeah, put a thin bead around the flange and then just running all the screws in and I have ordered myself a new set of screwdrivers. I bit the bullet. I think £85 for a set of gunsmith screwdrivers. Hopefully they'll be here next week, and I'll show them off. But yeah, using me trusty hollow ground screwdriver that is part of my impact driver set just makes a little bit more of a workout, because you're turning a big heavy screwdriver, but it gets the job done and no marring of the screws. So from there I get onto the inside of the smoke box, and I'm applying a bead of the high temperature silicone around the flange face at the back of the smoke box here. So I run a nice bead all the way around, come back in with a slightly moistened finger and just run it around into a nice bead, and we'll go in for a quick look. Awesome. Then I am installing the smoke box superheater. A little bit fiddly, getting in there with a spanner. You get a 1/12 of a turn per spanner swing. Yeah, so you have to move it a little bit, turn your spanner over, move it a little bit more, turn your spanner over, move it a little bit more, and it takes a lot of effort to wind nuts on like this, but I'm not going fully tight. Then I'm on to boiler cladding. Now, it had some of this rubberized cork at 1/4 inch. I'm going for this 5mm refractory paper. It's totally different Kale wool or fiberglass. This stuff you can handle barehanded. It doesn't leave you feeling itchy all day. It's really good. And I bought myself one of those floppy rulers so I can measure around the circumference of my boiler and cut my paper out. Didn't realise my floppy ruler has got maths on one side and measurement on the other side. So yeah, it's got a diameter measure on one side and just a normal measure on the other. And yeah, I buggered up, so I had to cut this twice, but it's not going to waste. And then I'm marking a centre hole for the dome. And I think this was like 9.5 inches back, so it wasn't slap bang in the middle, so it's always worth measuring it. I've got a 4-inch hole for my dome, and then just carving it out with a Stanley knife. Nice and easy, this stuff to handle and work with. And there we go. Then just a little bit of masking tape to hold this refractory paper in place. Just to stop it flapping around and coming undone when I'm unleashing this next bit. Here's the first part of the bodywork, the cladding going on. As you can see, I've not even unwrapped this yet, so I don't know what it looks like. Take the bubble wrap off, and yeah, it's a really nice paint job. It's already got the handrail stanchions pre-installed, and I'm just checking my measurements here, finding out where the middle is, so I know what front and back is. And then just ease it open, slide it over the boiler. Bosh, job done. It's as simple as that. Really easy to do. Then I'm on to boiler bands. Now these are already pre-lined, so I will be very, 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 very careful with these. And they're also very, very springy. And there's a couple of times I accidentally let go of them and they twang off and fire the screw off into the distance. But yeah, super satisfying, this bit. Also, I'm becoming less and less a fan of gloss black because it shows everything. Every fingerprint shows up, every little scratch would show up. Currently there's a piece of hair sat on the boiler, not one of mine, not long enough, but yeah, there's a piece of hair sat there on the boiler and you can see it from a mile off. And yeah, it's going to be one of those paint jobs where you're just frightened to death of doing anything to it. I'm going to have to take some microfiber cloths into work with me tomorrow so I can wipe all the dust off it. But yeah, as I say, super satisfying getting this part done. and I've got 4 boiler bands, and I'm going to equally space them out. Now I've got a length of 18 inches, and then it's just an easy bit of maths, 6 and 6 from each end, puts it all nice and perfect. Not quite sure how the joint works between the barrel portion and the firebox portion of the cladding, but I'll cross that bridge when it comes. That was it, just pinging off a couple of times. Yeah, think these might well be made out of spring steel, because yeah, they just do not retain any shape. But get them all in place, nipped up. I think I have to come back and loosen that one I'm tightening at the moment, just to reposition it. And there I am, I'm just measuring it and just sliding them into the location gently. Yeah, the second one I have to loosen off purely so I don't scratch the paint. It is a little bit on the tight side. And then just nip it all back up again. There we go, another job done. So prior to installing the boiler, I'm just going around the back head with some high temperature black. Now I sprayed a load out of a rattle can and left it to some of the gases to evaporate off before applying, and I'm just applying it liberally around everywhere where I've scratched it up, because I've like scratched gaskets off the back, and I've been hammering on the seams of the boiler doing the caulking. So just going around and giving it all a touch up, every area that's going to be exposed once the cladding is on, and then going forward to the smoke box, I'm just touching up the screw heads. Now I give these like 3 or 4 good coats. The thing with the high temperature black paint is the longer you leave it, the thicker it gets, so later on in the afternoon it works out really nice. Now using the original rubberized cork, I'm using that as a template excuse me, for the firebox portion of lagging. I'm just cutting out all the little notches there for the boiler clamps, hole in the middle for the safety valve. Now onto this fitting here. This is something I've knocked up on the lathe. It's basically it's a T-piece water inlet manifold thingamajig. Knocked it up out of bronze. It's allowing 2 injectors to feed into 1 hole. Hopefully this is going to work. I've not put 2 injectors into 1 feed hole before, so let's see if this works. But it looks alright. Then final job of the day really is just putting a red line on the pressure gauge. Now getting some good red paint and a flat bladed screwdriver, a little bit of a test line there on a piece of tape, and then I go for it, and I put a line right on the 80 psi mark, and then reassemble. So glass goes back on, brass cover goes back on, and then off camera I put the screws back in, and yeah, looks a treat, perfect. Then that pretty much brings me to the end of the day. Now I could have lifted the boiler on, but I'm putting that off till the morning, so quick tidy up, ready for good action tomorrow. Now another good day, 2 in a row, really nice as always. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.